there is negotiations act. This is not rumor. I've seen some places report on this as rumor. This is not rumor. This is confirmed as being legitimate. There is negotiations. Will the negotiations come through and it will actually happen? Who knows? But there are negotiations between Hello again, nerds. I, of course, am generally nerdy, and this is your favorite source for all of the pop culture nerdy news headlines. In today's episode, we are talking about some wildness going on over in the Letterkenny camp. If you do not like Letterkenny, then maybe you should give it another try, but we're going to get to that. We also have so many Star Wars rumors, I don't know what to do with them. So let's just dive head first into this episode. We have no major housekeeping that needs to be taken care of, but we do have some shout outs to get out of the way. So let's dive into those. We're going to start with the Facebook shoutouts. We have brothers Pritam and Ashish Kumar. Thank you very much, nerds, for the follow over on the Facebook. There's actually 3 different pages that you can follow for your shoutout at Generally Nerdy Gaming, or Generally Nerdy Photography. Those are the 3 pages that I operate on the Facebooks, and yeah, follow any of them to get yourself a shout out right here. Then we're going to talk Instagram shoutouts. We have a couple here. I'm so sorry I'm going to mispronounce some of these names because, I mean, they're screen names, so whatever. Aki_M___, Ben the Killer 657YT. I believe you actually follow on the YouTube as well, so thank you very much, nerd, for the follow. Art.Newkirk and March Arntinho. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much, nerds, for the follow. Instagram, of course, is at Generally Nerdy for your Instagram shout out. YouTube is actually going to be a little bit more viewer response stuff. So let's get to the TikTok first. So TikTok, we have the Fat Rat 246. Pixie_ and Manly25. Thank you very much, nerds, for the follow. So now let's talk about YouTube. There are, again, of all of the people that followed in the last week, none of them had their settings set to public, so I can't see their names, unfortunately. But we did get some comments. So the comments is another way to get into this section. I will continue the conversation from the comments section here in the show. So on the YouTube, on the main channel, we have Daniel Skinner commenting on the Orville Peck video. There's going to be a lot of these, so I think I'm just I'm going to address this directly and kind of include all of the Orville Peck comments into one response. So Daniel Skinner, Thorne McDaniel, we'll get to Nocturnal Emissions, and then Janet Gibbons. Thank you very much for the interactions, nerds. So Orville Peck, I've been doing music for quite some time. As stated in the intro into the reaction videos, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. It'll be 20 years very, very shortly. And have been producing for not quite that long, but still, that was my focus when I went to school, was audio production. So I know a lot of the tricks of the trade. I've produced bands, I've produced myself, I've produced hip hop. It is a thing that I do. And so I have a little bit of a unique ear in that I've trained it to hear certain things. Granted, I don't have the best ear when it comes to notes, but that's what a piano or a guitar is for. I do, though, know studio tricks. I know when effects have been applied, and while pitch correction isn't exactly an effect, it is a studio trick that is often applied kind of broadly, especially when it comes to more pop-oriented music. Orville Peck, while not... I would say he kind of is this interesting line between pop and country. He is not immune to the studio trickery. And actually, it's very possible that the pitch correction that I noted in that Orville Peck video was on purpose. It wasn't. It could theoretically be a stylistic thing because, as I said a number of times, the new Bronco record is more rock and roll, is a little bit of a different take. So maybe that was a style choice. Maybe they did that on purpose because Orville has an amazing voice. I love the man's voice. I commented in the video before we got to the auto-tune part, or the pitch corrector part rather, sorry. I don't mean to interchange those two terms because they are not interchangeable, but before we got to the pitch correction, I commented on how amazing his voice is. His voice is beautiful. I love it. I think it's one of the most original, fresh voices that we have in modern popular music or country music for that matter. So I'm not being critical when I point out that there is a pitch corrected section in that song. I'm simply pointing out that it is unnecessary. And whether or not you hear it, I don't really care because I hear it. It's there. There is no humanly way that you can jump from those two notes without sliding in that manner in that section. There's just not enough space between the notes. It's the likelihood of it not being a pitch correction thing. And honestly, at this point, after listening to it a few more times, the likelihood of it not being on purpose is very, very slim. So that we're just going to say that. Then, like I said, we have another comment to get to, and that also dealing with the Orville Peck, so we're going to stay here. But this one is a little bit different because, things. So Nocturnal Emissions, a YouTube user named Nocturnal Emissions. I like what you did there. Made a comment about me being critical of the flamboyance of Orville Peck. So first off, I wasn't being critical of the flamboyance. I was just laying out an expectation. If I was watching an 80s hair metal video or a band trying to replicate 80s hair metal, I would have used the same word. So the word in the way you're trying to implicate is not that implication. To kind of beat around the point you were obviously trying to make about me. I think that is a kind of stock and trade for Orville Peck videos, is he does these very loud, very colorful, very flashy, which to some would come across as flamboyant. That is why I used that word. Yes, I would like to watch sometimes videos that are not that, because I am a metalhead, and not a lot of like modern metal is exactly flashy or flamboyant, to use the word continually, when it comes to video production. There is a high production level, but flamboyance is not exactly a descriptor when it comes to my general preferred genre. So that is the address there. And then I didn't print out the comment, so I'm not looking at it, but I printed out a rough idea of what you said. Now that I've changed formats and I'm trying to streamline my process, I cut all of those out of a live stream. So yes, I have issues in live streams. I'm still working out all of the kinks when it comes to live streams, but part of the reason I do live streams is because it's less editing in post. So I apologize that there was some minutes in there, or a minute or two, I guess, of me trying to work out a bug. But I'm not going to edit that out because that kind of defeats the purpose of the feel of the way I like to do those videos now. So, sorry, not sorry, I guess. But that is what we've got on that comment. Next, we're moving into Lorna Shore. This one, another reaction video, somebody calling me a metal snob because I was critical of Lorna Shore. I like Lorna Shore. I said Lorna Shore. So the username, Angie Bordakova, I think, a Russian bot maybe? No, if you're a real person, I apologize for the joke, but if you're a Russian bot, then I don't. Yeah, I like Lorna Shore. Just because I'm critical of a band or an artist or something in a reaction video doesn't mean I dislike them, doesn't mean the song is bad, doesn't mean anything like that. It's just what I see a room to improve. So maybe using actual drums and not drum samples or drum replacement, I guess is the more appropriate term. Maybe not quantizing. This is a big rift in the metal community. This is something that a lot of metal producers are like, yeah, let's do it, quantize, get it on that grid, and then let's replace all those drums so that every one of them sounds exactly the same. A lot of metal producers like that sound. A lot of metal listeners like that sound. But then the other half of the community is vehemently opposed to that sound. And that was kind of the conversation I was trying to start. So calling me a snob because I noticed that they did a drum replacement and then didn't like it is not necessarily fair, because I love Lorna Shore. I think in spite of that one little issue I have with them, they are incredible musicians. And the new vocalist is a pretty damn good vocalist. So like, I don't understand how that makes me a snob. That just doesn't, whatever. All right, so moving on. Now I believe we're moving over to, we're moving over to the Clips channel now, and we have a new follower. This person did leave their stuff on public, and it's Ariana Poirier, I think. Thank you very much, Nerd, for the follow. We do have a couple of comments, or a singular comment actually, over on the Clips channel. It has to do with the casting of the Interview with the Vampire series over on Paramount Plus. Sean C. Turner Comedy Wibble Animated Sketch Show theorizes that with the casting of Claudia, the actress who they have cast to play Claudia is in her 20s, supposed to be playing a 5-year-old. He's theorizing that maybe they're going to use CGI to de-age her. Well, there's a couple of issues with that argument, my friend. So first off, I'm pretty sure it's almost impossible to make somebody in their 20s look like they're 5. Just putting that one out there. But the other half of that is, if such technology did exist, if that was a capability of de-aging CGI, would Paramount Plus really A, have the budget for it, or B, want to spend that kind of money? I think the more logical answer here is that they're just going to roll with Claudia being older and changing the core dynamic of our 3 main characters. We already know this because of the person that they cast to play Louis is black. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the dude that they cast to play Louis is a fantastic actor, and I'm really interested to see where they go with that. However, it is not going to be the same story that we got from the books. That's not a bad thing. That the books still exist. The movie still exists. I can always go back to those if I want that story. So I'm interested to see if this is a valid addition to that conversation, or if this was a needless change to check off some social political boxes. That is our YouTube section, and that is our shout-outs for, viewer comments, all of the things for this episode. So let's move into music news. We have some new music announcements. So in music, we're starting again, new music. This section, this subsection, rather, is going to be a little bit different. Normally we talk about just new videos, but this time we have some new music announcements. Technically, this first one is a follow-up. So Rammstein, we know, is putting out a new record this year because they worked on one while they were in lockdown for COVID. They have announced that they are going to be releasing their first single from this new record later this week. So we have nothing to listen to yet, but by the end of this week, we will have some new Rammstein to listen to, and there is going to be a proper music video for it. So I'm going to probably be doing another batch of reaction videos in the next couple of days. Zeit is the name of the song that we're going to be getting the song and the music video for. Still no exact date on the release for the record. That honestly could be wrong. I think I might have just missed it. So I'll add it to the screen right here, or if you're listening on post, we'll touch on it next week. So Terror is our next piece. Terror is putting out a new album. New album is called Pain into Power, set for release on May 6th through Pure Noise Records. The first single features George Corpse Grinder Fisher, so Terror, epic classic hardcore band from the East Coast, from New York specifically, I'm pretty sure, featuring one of the greatest death metal vocalists ever. This is quite the mashup. So the name of the song is Can't Help But Hate. It's like 2 minutes long. It's a blink and you miss it, like you kind of would expect from a band like Terror. Oh, but it's so much fun. Like, it's so crushing in certain parts, and like just they take the Terror formula and replace those gang vocals that you expect from a hardcore song and put in George Fisher's voice there where you would expect those. Oh man, just a lot of fun. Absolutely recommend listening to this first single, and absolutely recommend buying this Terror record on May 6th. Moving on. We're talking about now In Flames, the godfathers of metalcore, kind of. One of the godfathers, also At the Gates is probably the other godfather of the subgenre. They have finished their, listen to this, 14th studio album. No release date set just yet, but they are headed out on tour in April. So, and I believe we already talked about that. So we very probably will be seeing that record drop before they hit tour in April. And then our final piece of new music comes from the Dead South once again. They have released another cover. This one is very interesting because it's Chop Suey. Yeah, I have not listened to it, so I cannot necessarily make a recommendation, but it is Dead South covering System of a Down. How could you not be interested in listening to that? I will be doing a reaction video, like I said, probably going to be doing another batch of reaction videos later this week, so this will very likely be the first one that gets posted from that batch. That is what we have for new music. Now let's move into news. We have one big piece of actual regular old news, and it comes from Tom MacDonald, the TLDR on who Tom MacDonald is. White boy rapper, quite talented, very much on the conservative side of the argument when it comes to social politics, though I would be surprised if he considered himself an actual conservative. And one of the, if not the biggest independent artists in America right now, just posted a video the other day about his new record that is just coming, or just came out, I guess, or coming out very soon. I can't remember. I didn't write down the date because that's not exactly what we're talking about. His new record is going through some issues with Billboard. So the Billboard aggregate, or the Billboard numbers that you get that tell you who's the highest selling and what and where and how and the why, is an aggregate. They do not collect their own data. Tom goes into great detail in his video, which you can find linked down in the description. But they do not collect their own data. This is an endemic of the industry, and this is also signs of a dying music industry. And if you really want the super detailed explanation of what's going on with Tom, then by all means, just go watch his video. I just feel like it needs some light shown on it because this is a little ridiculous. And honestly, being an independent artist myself, I feel what's going on with Tom to a much less degree, but still, I understand the situation, and it sucks, and my heart goes out to him, and hopefully him doing that video will bring enough light to the situation of why independent artists don't do as well in this industry as they should, being as they own their own masters and so on and so forth. It's a real good deep dive into all of that. So go check out Tom MacDonald's page. Even if you don't agree with his politics or you don't specifically like him, it is a very good argument for any independent artist. We are moving on though. Now let's get into the tours section, and we have two very unlikely tours being announced. First up, we're talking about ZZ Top have announced that they are going back out on tour. This will be the first tour since Dusty's passing. Billy Gibbons, Frank Beard, sorry, are headed out on tour. They're also releasing a new live album called Raw, which is, I believe, the very last thing that Dusty Hill recorded before his passing, which is pretty freaking awesome. July 22nd is the release of Raw, and then the tour starts May 6th in Ontario, Canada, and then it rolls through August 27th in Kentucky. Our other tour that is highly unlikely but is actually happening, the Prodigy. Old school 90s techno music listeners will remember the Prodigy. I don't know that they've done a whole lot to stay relevant since then, since the Breathe song and the Firestarter song, the Fat of the Land record, actually, very specifically. They've done quite a few records since then, so I hear you commenting right now, oh, the Prodigy have been around forever. They keep doing awesome work. I don't disagree with you, but normies who kind of passively listen to these things as they make their way into the popular conversation don't know that the Prodigy still exists. And some of them probably don't even remember that they lost one of their vocalists, Keith Flint, just a couple years ago. So that's why I feel like this was an unlikely announcement, because Keith's passing, they're not exactly the biggest group. They don't have a whole lot of members. So when you lose one, that's pretty detrimental to the sound. It could be, I guess, pretty detrimental to the sound. So they are going on tour. I'm burying the lead here. September 8th, all the way through September 23rd. So basically the month of September, they will be touring through England. This is a celebration of the 25th anniversary of that record, Fat of the Land, but the band has been very specific to note that they will be playing much, much more than just those old tunes. They say they're going to be playing some stuff you have never heard before, and honestly, if you're going because you like Fat of the Land, there's probably a lot of their music that you have never heard before. That is what we have for tours, though. Let's get into the suggestions for musical suggestions this week. I have one from Black Light Burns, which, if you are unfamiliar, is Wes Borland's serious side project outside of Limp Bizkit. Actually, the primary project that he worked on while he was not in Limp Bizkit. This is the first record, Cruel Melody, that I am suggesting to you here. This is... If you like your hard rock with an industrial goth tinge, then this is honestly the record for you. They did 3 other records besides this one. The one immediately after this is called Cover Your Heart. It's not as good, but the other 2 are also phenomenal. So if you like Cruel Melody, then go check out those 3rd and 4th records from Black Light Burns. So our other music suggestion for this episode is Killswitch Engage's Alive or Just Breathing. I just saw them just the other day. Actually, finally got my voice back. Wearing one of their shirts I bought. This August Burns Red, not Killswitch. But either way, I did see Killswitch. It was amazing. It was a little bit of a religious experience for me because this concert has been 2 years in the making. But yeah. Fantastic. This first record, the first label record that they released, Alive or Just Breathing, is the standard bearer for all metalcore to come after it. They are not the first metalcore band, but they are the first metalcore band that got any kind of large recognition. So absolutely worth a listen. This is... If you are into that subgenre of metal, or if you just want to see what that subgenre of metal is all about, this is probably the greatest introduction to that. So that's what we got there. Let's move right along into gaming and tech. Our first, we have some follow-ups in gaming and tech. So first up, we're going to talk a little bit about Halo because, you know, I'm kind of addicted. Halo Infinite Season 2 has been announced. We do know that the title for Season 2 is going to be Lone Wolves. We have seen the release of the armor core that you're going to get in Season 2 when you buy the Battle Pass, which is very different from the armor core set that you're going to get for the main event that is going to happen during Season 2. So the way it seems that they've been breaking this up recently is... you have the season, so you have the Battle Pass that you have to pay for, which for Season 1 was $10. Very possibly is going to drop, probably not, but possibly for Season 2. But so you have the main Battle Pass that is the Season Battle Pass. And then it seems, at least if they're going on the same model that they did for Season 1, there's a main event that happens where you get some free gear, and then there's going to be a couple of minor events that happen. So the main event happens for multiple weeks. Each minor event only happens for a single week. So the major event armor core is going to be the one that looks like it comes from Fallout that we've talked about on the Shorts channels. It looks pretty freaking amazing, but there's also going to be a new armor core for the Season Battle Pass as well, so that's pretty epic. We have 2 new maps have also been announced, Catalyst and Breaker. Catalyst is going to be an arena map, so it's going to be one for the competitive crowd, and then Breaker is going to be a big team battle map that looks interesting. I'm not much of a big team battle player myself, itself, but definitely looks like it's going to be worth a little bit of exploring. There is also going to be the introduction of new story elements for multiplayer, which I still don't exactly know what that means. Are we going to have to pay for these story things? Is it going to be just another snippet like we got for the training at the beginning of season 1? That is still a little murky. I haven't been able to suss out any details there. And it is not going to launch like they had originally planned with the campaign multiplayer. Now, it should be noted that we've all been expecting something different than what they're planning on delivering when it comes to campaign multiplayer, because apparently what they're actively working on is not just multiplayer over Wi-Fi or over the internet connection, but it's going to be couch co-op, which is not exactly what we expected. I honestly never played Halo 5 for whatever reason, so I don't know if the multiplayer in Halo 5 was couch co-op, but the multiplayer for Halo Infinite is going to be couch co-op, and that's what's taking the most time to work out, which was news to a lot of the community. They are still planning on releasing multiplayer campaign, or co-op campaign rather, inside of season 2, so they have 3 months roughly to work out whatever details they're still trying to iron out. But that is what we have for Halo Infinite. Next, we have a Dead Space update. Motive Studios said that they're going to have a state of play on the 11th, so Friday, I think, is when that is. There's going to be a state of play, so we're going to see the state that the game is in on the 11th for a live stream from Motive. Follow the link down in the description if you are... I think you can just go to their YouTube channel. I don't know. I will definitely keep you posted. We'll probably have to watch it in post though, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to catch that on the 11th. That is what we have for follow-ups and corrections. Next, we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft. April 19th they made an announcement for an announcement. They will be announcing the next expansion for the long-running MMORPG on April 19th. And then in May, we will see the official reveal of the World of Warcraft mobile game. So that's very interesting. And then I guess this could have gone in TV streaming, but we're going to put it here because it's a podcast. But it's a podcast about a show. The guys that do It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia have started a podcast where they kind of sometimes talk about the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I just felt like putting that in here to shine a little bit of light on it again, because I don't know that a lot of the fan base know it exists, though it's been around for now 22, 23 episodes, and it's starting to get pretty big. So go check out the link in the description if you are interested in It's Always Sunny, because honestly, it's like bonus DVD content between Charlie Mack and Dennis. It's pretty awesome. But all right, so now we're into suggestions. Gaming and tech suggestions. We're going to start things off with Dead Space. Going retro on you for the first one. Just the first Dead Space game is the only one I'm recommending here. If you really dig it, then Dead Space 2 is fantastic as well, just not on the same level. Dead Space 3, a fair amount less. So Dead Space, the very first Dead Space, absolutely, if you can get your hands on that. I believe it's on the Xbox backward compatibility list. I don't know how you're going to play it on the PlayStation Network, but it is absolutely worth a replay. And then the other suggestion on here is also kind of a retro suggestion, and it's Cuphead. Oh my God, it's Cuphead. If you like very challenging games, but are not much for FromSoft's idea of challenging, then try out Cuphead, because that's a challenging on a whole different level. That's all I'm going to say. It's like if FromSoft did a Mickey Mouse game. That's that's how that goes. All right, so that is suggestions. Let's move now into comic books and books. We only have one piece of news here in comic books, and that is that Kevin Smith, like him or love him or hate him, I guess, Kevin Smith is getting his own comic book imprint on Dark Horse. So Dark Horse is going to be giving Kevin Smith his production company called Kevin Smith's Secret Stash Press. It is going to start with an 8-issue book called Masquerade, but then is obviously going to very quickly jump into the View Askew-niverse, which is where Jay and Silent Bob live, for an anthological book called Quick Stops, that again exists in the Askew-niverse. So later this year, Kevin Smith will be producing his own books, and in that vein, we're going to go into suggestions. We are going to suggest Guardian Devil, the Daredevil book that Kevin Smith wrote, and honestly, one of the few books that he finished on time. It is a fantastic read. Honestly, his work on Batman was really good as well, but probably the most sterling example of Kevin Smith's comic book writing is Guardian Devil. I have it myself, as I do pretty much all of the suggestions that I make here in the comic book section. Either way, it's a pretty good read and kind of gets your hopes up for what possibly could be coming from Secret Stash Press. Now we're going to get into TV streaming. So first we're doing follow-ups. This first follow-up, or correction, no, follow-up. First follow-up that we have is one that honestly was supposed to go in last week's episode, but I skipped it in the notes because sometimes that still happens apparently. Twisted Metal, the TV series that we have been keeping tabs on that's going to star Anthony Mackie, is now going to Peacock and not Showtime. So very interesting. Our next follow-up has to do with God of War. There is negotiations. This is not rumor. I've seen some places report on this as rumor. This is not rumor. This is confirmed as being legitimate. There is negotiations. Will the negotiations come through and it will actually happen? Who knows? But there are negotiations between Sony and Amazon Prime for a live-action God of War series to go onto Amazon Prime. So that's pretty huge. It will be joining Mass Effect and Fallout over on Amazon Prime. So Gotham PD is our next follow-up. Gotham PD is kind of sort of no more. Matt Reeves has recently done an interview where he's talking about how Gotham PD actually has kind of morphed into something else, and now it is going to be called Arkham Asylum, which is interesting because that also is a comic book. So are they going to dip a little bit into the territory, the psychological territory of the comic book? Are they just going to do something that feeds more into the Matt Reeves Batman universe? We don't know exactly yet because he was still pretty vague on details, but that is where Gotham PD sits. It is no more. And then we have a little bit of a follow-up on the Bel Air series, which I still am riding the fence on. We have a little bit of a cast reunion. We have the original Aunt Viv and Will's mom from the original series are going to be making cameo appearances in the next episode of Bel Air. It's going to be airing on March 24th. The name of the actresses, before I forget, is Daphne Maxwell Reid and Vernee Watson Johnson. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled if you're watching the Bel Air series for a little bit of a cast reunion thing. Not really reunion, but cameo. But that is what we have for follow-ups and corrections. So now let's get into trailers. We did get one new trailer that has me super hype, and that is Shorzy is coming to Hulu, and what is the Crave is the Canadian. So Shorzy is getting a spin-off series from Letterkenny, and if you know anything about Letterkenny, that's just going to be that much more ridiculous. We do finally see Shorzy's face in this trailer, it would seem. So the old gag of not being able to see Shorzy's face ever is going right out the window because he's going to be the star of the show. I feel like in this situation, that's probably the only way you could do that because there's no science fiction helmet to be wearing saying this is the way. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. Go watch the trailer. It's very, very short. It's absolutely worth a watch. But we're moving into actual news for TV streaming, and that is Letterkenny is starting us off. We got a new episode of Letterkenny. I have not yet watched it. It is International Women's Day special episode. I can only imagine what's going to be happening there, but absolutely super hype about that because anything new with Letterkenny is always good. We are still waiting for season 10. 10, 11, 10? I don't remember. I get too excited and forget numbers. Anyway, so our next piece of news has to do with The Walking Dead. We have another announcement of a Walking Dead spinoff. This one is going to be called Isle of the Dead. It's going to take place on the island of Manhattan, and our main characters are going to be Maggie and Negan? I really need to catch up on Walking Dead. I never picked up the second half of the last season. I'm so far behind. Anyway, yeah, I don't understand exactly how that's going to happen, but Lauren Cohen and Jeffrey Dean Morgan both have signed on to come to this show. That's huge. It is going to be on AMC and AMC Plus in 2023 is the goal. So that is everything for the news on TV streaming. Let's get into TV streaming suggestions. And it's one suggestion, but it's a big suggestion, and that is Letterkenny. If you have not watched these, I believe there is actually 10 seasons of Letterkenny now. It might be 9, but I think it's 10. If you have not watched these seasons, every episode is super short. The seasons are relatively short in and of themselves, especially the most recent season. It's only 6 episodes, 20 minutes per episode. It's an hour to watch the entire season. It's one of the funniest things on television. You absolutely must go watch it. This is like if Kevin Smith were writing It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but he grew up in very rural Canada. This is the show that he would have done. So it's absolutely worth your time, and that is what we have for TV streaming. Let's move over to movies. We have a pretty small movie section. We have a quick follow-up on The Batman, which I am going to be doing a full review for in this same recording session, so keep your eyes peeled to the main YouTube channel for that. But the follow-up for The Batman is that we have an opening weekend of 134 million domestic, which was expected, the expectation was 128 million domestic. So that's a significant amount larger. And then real quick, while we're talking about Batman, not gonna do the review right now, but we are going to do a little bit of a reasonably nerdy issue. So let's put our reasonably nerdy hats on, if you will. So there's been some commotion around the periphery of the coverage for this new Batman movie. And a lot of it has to do with RK Outpost and the poor choice of words in which he used to describe the main thing he disagreed with in this Batman movie. I have a few different issues with this movie that apparently a lot of people aren't necessarily picking through yet, but that, again, not what we're talking about. So RK Outpost said something in the tune of it didn't sit well with him that all of these black people were the good people and all of the white people were the bad people. It was, again, his words were a little more muddy than that. It was less succinct. It seems that what he was trying to say is that the narrative in Hollywood right now is that white people are bad and cannot be virtuous unless you are a pre-established character like Batman. And so the fact that the only good people in this movie were people of color didn't sit well with him. It wasn't bad that the people of color were good. It was just bad that pretty much all of the white people were bad. Are we parsing this out? So I think if that's the only thing you're complaining about, A, you weren't watching the same movie I was, and B, is that really a complaint to make? Like, that's not the movie's issue. Is probably the most appropriate way to parse that out. That this is a larger endemic issue of Hollywood at large. Matt Reeves' issue was not that he only made virtuous people of color. That's a non-issue. That's irrelevant to the story. Take this story on its own merits and judge it accordingly. Who cares what color the actors are? Who cares what colors the characters are? I mean, to an extent, I'm not saying that just race swap the entire cast and make Batman Asian. Wait, they're already doing that. Anyway, this is reasonably nerdy. So the reasonable thing here is that you take this movie on its own merits, because it does exist in a bubble. This is a self-contained universe. The Matt Reeves Batman universe has nothing to do with any other Batman universe. So who cares? And honestly, that I think is the most reasonable takeaway from this. There are plenty of other issues with this movie, which I will get into in the review. But as it stands right now, I don't see why RK Outpost decided he had to take issue with this in this movie. that conversation is to be had in a much grander scale that beyond any one singular movie. So yeah, I think it was dumb for him to say it. I think it's a non-point for this movie specifically, and that is what we're talking about reasonably right now in Reasonably Nerdy. So let's take those Reasonably Nerdy caps off and move right along. We're rolling into trailers. We do have one trailer from the DC League of Super Pets. Actually, I think we have two, because the Keanu Reeves is the newest one, but I think John Krasinski being revealed as the voice of Superman also happened within the last week. I just only saw the Batman announcement. So Keanu Reeves is going to be voicing Batman, John Krasinski is going to be voicing Superman, and then Kevin Hart's going to be Batman's dog. I don't remember who's going to be Superman's dog, but the movie is going to focus on the pets, and the trailer is kind of actually really freaking adorable. Absolutely go watch it. Our other trailer has to do with Brad Pitt's new movie, Bullet Train. This is Brad Pitt having a little bit of a renaissance right now? Like, he's kind of in everything recently, isn't he? He's in the new Channing Tatum movie where he's like the actualization of the character Channing Tatum portrays on the cover of those books written by, names, whatever. So there's that, and then there's this Bullet Train movie, and then his production company is producing Beetlejuice 2. I think we're having a Brad Pitt-assance, like we had a Keanu-assance not that long ago. This trailer looks like this movie is going to be fantastic. I'm a big Brad Pitt fan. I was very hesitant for a long time. I am now a big Brad Pitt fan. So even if you're not, this looks like a lot of fun. Is this Brad Pitt's John Wick? Who knows? But that's what we have for trailers. Let's get into suggestions. And this one is, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation. Movies suggestion for this episode is the new Scream 5. And I'm only suggesting this. I'm not suggesting this because I think it's fantastic, because it's not. I don't think any of the Scream movies are fantastic. I just think this movie should give you all of the fuel you need to make the argument against Lego sequels. Yes, Lego sequels can be fun and can be well done sometimes, but everything does not need to be rebooted. Everything does not need a Lego sequel. Let's get some original freaking content. And the reason I'm suggesting you go watch Scream is because a couple of the characters in this movie make that argument. It's such a weird situation. I don't know. As far as Scream movies go, I would say this is probably pretty damn close to the same quality of the first Scream movie. So they definitely do Wes Craven proud here, but beyond that, you have to be a fan of those Scream movies to really appreciate this, and I really wasn't. So this is a weird suggestion for this episode, but it's worth a watch just for the meta commentary attached. Real quick, nerds, there are a lot of you that listen and watch these episodes and you don't let me know. So I'm going to just throw this little reminder in here real quick. Definitely hit that thumbs up button or whatever form of like on whichever platform you're watching or listening right now. Let the algorithm know that you like what's going on here. Also, throw a comment down in the comments section. Let's talk about these things because, I mean, there's a lot of viewer comments to go over. So join into the conversation and we will do that. Don't forget also to join me on Fridays for the live news, and you can join in the conversation a little bit more directly. Live news happens on youtube.com/generallynerdy Friday nights around about 7:30. And yeah, that is what we have for this. We're going to get you back to your regularly scheduled episode. So that brings us into the Rumor Mill. Rumor Mill, we have a confirmation this episode, and that confirmation comes in the form of Booster Gold. Donald Faison was, in fact, playing Booster Gold on DC's Legends of Tomorrow. So there is kind of another rumor that's now being attached to this character of Booster Gold, and that is that he's going to make an appearance in The Flash next. Since he is now part of the Berlantiverse, sure, why wouldn't he? That only makes sense. All of those characters kind of make appearances in each other's shows all the time anyway. Not that Booster Gold has his own show, but you know what I'm saying. So that was pretty awesome. We did get that confirmation. Flash Season 8 will be starting, or we'll be finishing up soon-ish. We have no new sources, but we do have a new Doctor Strange 2 rumor. This rumor is kind of almost a new source, which is why we mentioned the new sources. But it's a variation on the rumor. So the rumors that we're talking about generally speaking with this movie, all have to do with cameos. Who is and who isn't going to be in this movie, and which character are they going to be playing. This rumor takes that, kind of spins it up a little bit. So we already have actors for the roles of Deadpool and Kang the Conqueror, but now a new rumor says that we are going to be seeing them not in the movie proper. So Ryan Reynolds wasn't lying, if you want to believe this rumor. Ryan Reynolds said that he was not going to be in the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but if he's in the post-credit scene, then he's not technically in the movie, he's just in the post-credit scene. So this rumor says that we're going to be seeing Kang the Conqueror and Deadpool in the post-credit scene, and then we're also going to have an illusion slash the vocal presence of Clea also in this post-credit scene for Doctor Strange 2. This one seems super likely. Because we did get such a definitive and direct answer from Ryan Reynolds, which everyone else who's played the I'm gonna lie to the media game has kind of beat around the bush at first, and then after they were hounded to a certain degree, they finally came out and did the lie full on. Whereas Ryan Reynolds came straight up with the, yeah, no, I'm not in the movie. So that kind of lends one to maybe believe this. This is a super weak source though, so I don't know how much credence that gives it. This, I think, is the most smooth way to introduce Deadpool into this universe. Kang the Conqueror, like, why would you save him for the post-credit scene? That doesn't seem to make as much sense. And since those two are related, they kind of cancel each other out. I'm giving this one 50%. I don't have enough information to go on, so it's right in the middle because we don't know which way it's going to head. Our next, now we have a few rumors to do with Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan, first off, there is a rumor that we are going to be seeing a new Jedi in the Obi-Wan series. Who this new Jedi is part of the rumor mill because we don't know, but there is rumor that this Jedi has come from a very long distance to find Obi-Wan. There is rumor attached to this that he is potentially going to be, or the Jedi rather, I don't know the gender, don't really care. This new Jedi is going to have some sort of Vader connection potentially. Also, there is rumor that this new Jedi could be, and I apologize, Darth Maul's race name, I always screw up. So Dathomirian. Dathomirian? Did I say that right, Star Wars nerds? Please let me know. There's rumor that it's going to be Dathomirian Jedi and not Dathomirian Sith. So it'll be the first time we've seen in live action a good person from Darth Maul's race. So very interesting. Their likelihood that we will see new Jedi, because we kind of have to break this down into multiple things. Likelihood that we will see new Jedi in this series is pretty high. So I don't think that one's necessarily, I think that one's just kind of a given at this point. So I'm going to put the likelihood of new Jedi 80%. Very specifically, this Jedi that potentially has ties to Darth Vader and also potentially is Dathomirian. I know I just said that wrong. I'm going to put that one lower. The Dathomirian, sorry. The Dathomirian rumor, it is kind of been tacked on to the rest of this, so that one's the least likely. We're going to put that one at 30%. And then Darth Vader tie, there is a potential for that, but I don't know. I'm going to put that one, I'm going to split the difference on this one again and go 50% just because there's not enough room to work here. Next, we're going to be talking about another Obi-Wan. We have a few, like I said, a few Obi-Wan. Next is Palpatine, rumored to be in the show to some capacity. We already know that we are going to be getting flashbacks in the Obi-Wan series, so yeah, why wouldn't they have Palpatine in this, at least in some sort of very brief cameo situation? I'm going to put that one at about 85% because yeah, I would also not be surprised if even in present day where he's taking care of young Luke, present day Obi-Wan gets some sort of messages, some sort of force message from the disembodied voice of Palpatine because he's still supposed to be kicking around, right? So yeah, Palpatine's going to be in this. Like that's I feel like that's a given. Next, there's rumors to do with Ahsoka Tano in the series. Again, flashbacks only makes freaking sense. However, the question is, and some of the rumors are going so far as to say that we're going to get a younger Ahsoka Tano than we are going to get in the Ahsoka series, which theoretically means we're going to have a different actress playing the character. I think this one's a pretty safe bet too. Not quite as solid as the Palpatine thing, but we're going to put this one about 70% likely that we're going to see some sort of young Ahsoka character. And then Liam Neeson is our other rumor for Star Wars. Liam Neeson is supposed to be returning as Qui-Gon Jinn. Qui-Gon in a flashback, of course, like, again, why would you not? It only makes sense that he might only be in one episode. He might even just have one really brief blink and you miss it kind of cameo. But there is no reason not to believe. We're going to put this one same level that we put the last one. 70% likelihood that we're going to be seeing Liam Neeson return as Qui-Gon Jinn. There is a bunch more news and rumors, nerds. You just got to go check out the older episodes. So you can do that by clicking or tapping the box that appears to the side of my face. Go check out the other channel, the Clips channel. Go check out any of the shorts and the social medias. Thank you very much, nerds, for joining me. Before we go, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.